Hi YouTube, it's Justin again, and I don't normally do movie reviews on this channel, but I just watched a movie yesterday, one battle after another, and I want to give my thoughts on it as I'm wearing my Abolish ICE t-shirt. So those of you that listen to my raps, you fully understand my politics, that I am anti-MAGA. Um, I am pro-immigration, I am a liberal through and through, and one thing to understand about One Battle After Another is that it's a very politically charged movie, and one would one could categorize it as very far left in its policies and in its views, and that's just looking at the movie from an objective lens. That you're clearly seeing Leonardo DiCaprio's character as a protagonist, and he is portraying a radical terrorist in this movie, and he has aligned himself with a group. Um, I believe they're called the French 70s, the French 47, something like that. And their main goal is to disrupt ICE activities. And the movie is a fictional movie. It doesn't try to be any kind of documentary. Um, it really wants you to believe that this is a fictional world that these people are living in. Yet this fictional world seems very, very much like what's going on today in America, especially when you look at Minneapolis and what's going on there, and the ICE occupation of many different towns and cities across the United States. So this is a fictitious story of what if there was a group, a left-leaning group that stood up to the right-wing fascists that are in power now, and this is what it would look like. It would be people blowing up ICE facilities and trying to free as many detainees as they can, stopping planes from taking off and deporting people. Um, and it would be a direct, overt military action, and the government would certainly say it's a terroristic action. I mean, that's what they label people that fight against oil refineries or oil pipelines, um, and other ways that our environment is being affected by both corporations and the government. Um, so, with that being said, also the antagonist of the film is clearly Sean Penn's character, who is, I believe, a lieutenant in the um, the fascist regime. But basically, he's ICE or Customs and Border Patrol. So he's basically Bonvino or somebody on that level, or Holman. So anyway, certainly, if you're a MAGA person, you probably would not enjoy this film, but I would encourage you to watch it anyway because it's really relevant to what's going on right now and throughout Trump's entire first administration and the second administration. In fact, this past year, we've seen an uptick in just um, innocent people being rounded up, detained, deported, or still being detained. Um, People that have the legal right to be here, asylum seekers, and also U.S. citizens that just happen to look brown or black are being detained. And then we have people that are protesting that are American citizens who are just being shot and killed. Um, and that's just going to make even more people protest. And when you get to a certain point of brutality and violence against the people, there is going to be a tipping point, and at some point, people are going to have enough with peaceful protests, and someone is going to suggest we do violent protests, and we start rioting, things of that nature. Like look at what precipitated the L.A. riots when after Rodney King was attacked by police officers in L.A. Um, like we are nearing, I think, that level of escalation. I'm not calling for that. I'm just saying that that is the logical course of things. That for every Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that advocates for a peaceful protest, there's a Malcolm X who calls for a more overt action, a more terroristic action, let's just say. And let's go back to the film. Now, the film itself is a master class of directing. I love the director Paul Thomas Anderson. I love every one of his films. I'm not going to name them all for you, but just go Google him or go IMDb him, and you'll see that his other films, and they're all very much critically acclaimed films. Um, and also Leonardo DiCaprio is amazing in this film. He always delivers a great performance in no matter what film he's in. He's in one of my all-time favorite movies, Inception, and he was incredible in that. Um, Benicio del Toro did a good job. I don't know the names of any of the main actresses in the film, but the one that plays the love interest of Leonardo DiCaprio did an excellent job. Um, and and her character, I forget her name, but is a very compelling one because even though she doesn't have a lot of dialogue in the film, but because she is in the middle of this love triangle, and I'm not going to give too much away about that, but let's just say that her role is incredibly important to facilitate the plot of the film, and she does an excellent job at that. Um, then we have the woman that plays their daughter, growing up. Like I think she's 16 years old. She did an excellent job, but also her her character was not fully fleshed out either. She had very little dialogue, but she was more of a impetus for moving the story along plot wise, in my opinion. Um, the uh, the action scenes were shot very well. It had great music. All in all, I think it's a great film, and I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think, or maybe 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's not a perfect movie, but very few films get a 5 out of 5 in my opinion. So you should definitely watch the movie, regardless of politics. And it really shines a bright light, I think, on the immigration crisis. And this is a crisis now of our own making. That these people that came here were just seeking a better life, just like my parents did. I'm, I leave no secret there that I'm a child of immigrants. So that is my perspective of looking at the immigration quote unquote crisis that we're in. That I think it's a crisis of we're not giving out enough citizenships. We need to give out more citizenships. We need to give out more green cards. We need to give out more visas and not take visas away. That's not the right thing to do. We need to have an easier path to citizenship. Why does it cost over $800 to fill out the paperwork to become a United States citizen? That boggles the mind. Why not make it $20? Then we might have more people that are legal, don't you think? If we make it so damn expensive to become a United States citizen, then how is it that it's letting people come in the right way? It sounds like more like we're shutting the door on these people instead of welcoming them in. And if you talk to business owners in every field, they're going to be like, no, we want more immigrant workers here. They're hardworking. They show up. They're not high, and you know, they don't demand really high wages, and they don't demand health care, so they're cheaper. And in some cases, they're more skilled. If you if you go to Silicon Valley, how many Asians are going to see and Indians that are programmers out there? I will tell you probably 90% of them are probably from Asia. If you go into any hospital, especially in a more urban area or close to New York City, Chicago, LA, go to any hospital, look at how many doctors are Asian, because not a lot of white and black people want to go into those fields. They don't want to study for 6 friggin' years post high school, or 7 years, and then residency. Um, just open your eyes about that, or in the dental field as well. Look at all the people that have walked off their job sites in Florida because of the immigration raids and the crackdowns. They don't want to do those jobs. They don't want to show up to work. They don't even want to go to school. They're talking like 5 to 15-year-old Latino children afraid to go to school in some cases, especially in probably Minneapolis right now. Um, so I think this film is incredibly important, and there needs to be more art done on this topic, and that's why I did the raps that I've been doing. So go listen to my The Assassination of Renee Nicole Good, and go watch this film because it's very eye-opening. Even the beginning of the movie where they showed this raid on an ICE concentration camp. And you get to see how deplorable the situations in the facilities are over there and how cramped they are, and they're cold, and they don't have adequate food to eat, not enough bathrooms to go around, overflowed toilets, and just atrocities. Even during the first Trump administration, Mike Pence visited one of these concentration camps, and he was asked by a reporter, Mr. Vice President, what do you think about the conditions in there? And he said they were not good. They are downright bad conditions, like inhumane conditions. He was basically saying, did Trump ever tour one of those facilities? Fuck no. Trump doesn't give a fuck about what those facilities are like. Does the constituents, the people that voted for him, people wearing MAGA, have they ever seen inside of a nice facility? Well, if they have, they would fucking change their vote or regret their vote real fast. People that voted for Trump and had their immigrant wife or husband deported, they fucked around and found out. They realized that he wasn't going to do what he said he was going to do. He wasn't going to just go after the worst of the worst and the rapists and the criminals and the insane asylum inmates. No, they're going for fucking Rosie, who works at that deli across the street, who served you coffee yesterday. That's who they're fucking going after. They're going after Pedro, who fucking cooked your food when you went out to eat yesterday. They're going after the guy that mowed your lawn last week, or last summer. They're going after people that you go to church with. Like, think about that for a moment. Christians that are fucking going to church and then getting round up as soon as they step outside the church because they're fucking ICE agents or fucking have a sting operation right outside of the church or school or synagogue or whatever. And it's just fucked up conditions, and we are getting close to that tipping point that we see in the film. Like, people are going to, for starters, America is the country with the most citizens with the most guns. You don't think that there might be an uprising coming? Like, I think that's, if it happens in any country, it happens here first. Well, I think I certainly think more liberals should need to watch this film, but I think conservatives should watch it too. Independents should watch it, and just think about the themes that are happening in the film, and the think about the question of individuality versus collectivism, and you see that play out in a film because of Leonardo DiCaprio's wife's character is very emphatically considers herself an individual, and that she doesn't want to be tied down to any family or community, that she does what she does outside because of her own personal beliefs and personal convictions. And then once she feels like she's starting to get bogged down by her family, then she immediately rebels against it. And you gotta ask yourself from a moral standpoint, what is right and what is wrong with that? Is it right to always just uphold your own individuality over that of the community? Because clearly we have the other side of the coin. Leonardo's character is someone who stays at home and raises his daughter, and he doesn't so much like he pretty much goes into hiding at a certain point in a film, and then you see what happens to the wife, and the wife, uh, what's well, I don't even know if they're married at this point in the film, but or the girlfriend. Anyway, the mother, she winds up getting snatched by the police or immigration officials. What's interesting about the film is that it doesn't really tell you who these agents are that are in the film. They're just um, some abstract group of people that are out there to inflict harm. And that's basically what they look like now. Like, you don't know if a person is ICE or Homeland Security or Customs and Border. They're just one big glob of some nucleus of matter that's hunting you down. People that look like me. And, well, they capture the mother and they basically squeeze her until she gives up everyone she knows in her terrorist organization. and I'm going to say, use put air quotes, terrorist organization, because that's what the government would label them, but I don't think they consider themselves terrorists. I think they consider themselves freedom fighters, because when you look at the name of the group, it sounds like they think they're liberating the country. They think that they are like the the main characters in Les Miserables. You know, they're the rebels. They're the rebellion in Star Wars, basically. And our government is the dark side, the Empire. So this would be like a modern day retelling of Star Wars, I guess. Um, and what's interesting about the timeline is it doesn't even really tell you what year it is in the film, but it does seem very contemporary. They use cell phones, so you know it must be, if not now, but in the near future. Um, there's no overwhelmingly science fiction elements to the film, like they're driving very much normal looking cars as we have. In fact, I believe it took Paul Thomas Anderson 10 years to make this film. So some of the technology may even look dated, and the cars may look dated because there's certainly no smart cars, you know, that they're using in this film. Um, the cell phones look pretty conventional. Um, they still actually use walkie-talkies in a film, which you rarely see today outside of military doing that. Um, so I don't know if I can really say anything more else about the film. It is a long movie; it's nearly 3 hours, so bear that in mind when watching it. Luckily I watched it via a download, so I was able to pause it and just watch it in increments. And you really need to watch it that way, be able to pause it. And like I do not. Um, let's just say I'm glad I didn't watch this in movie theater, because it's definitely a movie that should be broken up and give you an intermission that's, you know, halfway through the film. Or I would say that maybe at the point in which you have right before the time jump that happens in a film, because we do have a period of time in which um, the main female character gives birth, has a baby, and then pretty much it jumps, and then the baby is 16 years old. So it does a whole like Game of Thrones time jump there. So yeah, bear that in mind. Um, well, I can't stress enough how great the film is, and Benicio del Toro does an awesome performance being Benicio del Toro. Like, he always seems very much the same in every role. He brings the same kind of badassery to every one of his roles. Um, it's definitely a film that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's never boring. It's never dull, and it always gives you the unexpected. Let's just say, and there's wild car chases. It's really shot well. I I wouldn't be um, surprised if this swept the Oscars. Like, I can definitely see Best Picture, Best Director, maybe Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress. I think I could sweep all of those. Best Cinematography, Best Music. Well, I say you should watch it before the Oscars airs. All right, have a good day.